Hi, everyone. My name's Ash Crossan from Entertainment Tonight, and it is an honor to be your moderator for the New Mutants press conference. I am so excited. Please join me in virtually welcoming the cast. First up, director Josh Boone, Maisie Williams, Anya Taylor-Joy, Charlie Heaton, Alice Braga, Blu Hunt, and Henry Zaga.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
How's everyone doing?
Good, very good.
Good, yeah.
Well, congrats on the film finally being released. It's been quite a ride. Many release date changes, a merger, a global pandemic. I mean, this has been a journey.
Yes.
But I will say the fans have been really unwavering throughout this whole thing. I mean, from the art to the outpouring of love you guys have received. What has the support from the fans meant to you guys? Maisie, let's start with you.
It's so wonderful. I think there was a lot of uncertainty with this film and when it was going to get released, and to know that there was an audience that was still willing to wait as long as it took, and even through this pandemic have been so supportive, and it's just been really exciting. I can't wait for people to finally see it.
They're my favorite fans because they actually don't complain. They just do really cool artwork of the characters. So there's probably like 100+ pieces of artwork that fans have done that I'd still like to figure out a way to do a book of. Go get permission from everybody and do a book.
That would be amazing. Is there anything that anyone has received, like whether somebody's like DM'd you or tweeted you or maybe even stopped you on the street pre-pandemic, that has stuck out to you in terms of like fan interactions? Anyone have anything that comes to mind?
I think like for us to be one of the most watched panel, I think like it was on Comic-Con, right? I think that was so sweet to hear. When Josh gave us those news, I think for me was, wow, it's amazing that the fans are so loyal and so excited, even with all the wait. I don't know, for me it was a great, thing right before we finally released to listen to. I don't know for you guys, but that was something that really was beautiful.
I remember when me, Alice, Josh, and Nate went to Brazil's Comic-Con. And I think that was the year that they sold more tickets than San Diego's. Yep. And as soon as we stepped on stage, it felt like, I don't know, like we're the Beatles. Like, so I am, but like they love these characters.
The closest we'll ever get to be Beatles.
It was like really, it was an outpour of love and, dedication to these characters. It was really cool to see.
Yeah.
Well, Josh, let's clarify something really quick. Let's get this out of the way. There was a lot of talk about reshoots. So how much has the movie evolved from when you shot to now that it is coming out? How much has it changed?
We reshot the movie 4 or 5 times, like every scene in it almost. No, I'm kidding. We never did reshoots. We were supposed to do reshoots. People in general, movies do reshoots or pickups or things like that. But because of the merger, once it was done, it was done. So we never went back and did reshoots. So we were always using the same footage and the same material from the start of editing and all the way to the end of it.
Okay, clarified. So this is the first horror thriller set in Marvel's X-Men universe. It's also the first big studio film to come out after months and months of quarantining. And it's about people trapped in somewhere that they can't get out. So
how timely.
Really timely.
Yeah, does it hit different now, Alice?
I mean, I think so. I think people are kind of going to connect more with the characters feeling than ever.
I haven't thought about it that way before, but it kind of makes perfect sense now. I feel like the movie's supposed to come out now. I think people very different way.
That's why the universe made this movie wait. It was because they knew they needed to wait for a time when nobody could leave their houses. Because I mean, we went and made this about kids trapped inside this institution, this facility, and then Henry and I went and made a show about a pandemic. So I think we need to stop making things that could happen in real life.
We're getting too topical on our projects.
It's too topical. We need to go for full fantasy next time.
Yeah.
Well, unlike most big, studio superhero films, this one was filmed on location in this like old psychiatric hospital. Is that right?
Yeah.
Which I imagined is an absolute playground for ghosts. But how did filming in this location inform your performance, and especially at night? Henry, let's go with you on this one.
You said Henry or Anya? Sorry.
I said Henry. Sorry, Henry.
I mean, to me, it was more about the smell. I think there was something really creepy about the smell. It just got into your soul before you even thought about it. But I don't know. It was spooky, and I was also having a blast filming the movie, so it was kind of hard to feel bad about being in this place. So I think I'm the worst person to ask this question to. I was, the class clown, I guess, just enjoying myself and having fun.
Yeah, I think like filming there really helped to get the feel of kind of reality of it, like having actual walls and actual energy for a film like this, and like it felt kind of like in a way that we were doing an independent film sometimes because we were on location, so it wasn't only blue screens and creating. Of course, we had that, but also it brings a sense to it, and like I think Henry said, like a sense of smell, a sense of real feel. And filming at night was kind of scary. I wouldn't walk by myself.
Yeah, lots of crew
There's
members
no
had
way.
there were several crew members
Weird
who had
stuff.
weird experiences there, had to be walked to their car at night because they were scared to walk there by themselves after they'd been in the buildings all day. It was, people definitely had weird encounters.
And the groundskeeper that worked there for years had some really awful stories to tell us why we should walk alone at night around.
Yeah. I remember him putting his arm around me and he was like, "See that basketball court over there?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, the state made that for little Jimmy when he came here. I was like, "Oh, they made it for a kid. That's so sweet." And they were like, "He stabbed his family." And I was like, "Oh,
Jimmy,
that's not good."
Yeah.
Well, beyond the horror elements, this movie deals with these young mutants with burgeoning abilities, and they can be insecure and angsty and growing pains and all that. So, everything that young people deal with. So how do you think younger audiences will resonate with your characters? And did tapping back into your teenage self help with the creation of your character? Anya?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think any opportunity to go back to teenagedom is not necessarily the most fun experience, but you definitely learn a lot about yourself afterwards. It's interesting because I think we all came into this knowing that whilst we were making a superhero movie, we weren't really making a superhero movie. We were making a film about people who were having a tough time understanding themselves and figuring out their place in the world. And so to make it a bit more cinematic, we added powers. But I do think any teenager that's going through, as you said, the growing pains, trying to understand where you fit in, you're no longer a child, but like, what is this weird adult world? I think they'll definitely connect with it. And then we have powers, which is really cool. So,
Yeah. I would say too is really made for teenagers who are outsiders, people who feel out of place, and who are going through a tough time in general. I sort of always say I make couch movies, which are like, when I was a teenager and I was really depressed, I'd have like a certain movie I'd pop on and go lay on the couch and make me feel better. Yeah. So it's like these kind of movies are those kind of movies where hopefully they'll be your friend.
What was your movie?
Oh, sorry, you go.
No.
That's embarrassing, and I'm not gonna. There are always movies with romance in them, or romantic comedies, or things like that. I'm not gonna admit to any of them.
Anya, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say that actually the setting really helped with that because it did feel like we were kind of in a high school / college experience where we were all going to the same place every single day and then going back to like dorms. So it did feel like
it was like a college experience, but where the set that you were on, somebody had hung themselves there maybe 40 years before.
To be fair, I've shot in too many like abandoned mental hospitals. I'm like really way too chill about the whole situation. But,
I remember in the attic that we shot in on the first day, that was a place where somebody had hung themselves. They said it might even have been more than one person, because the place that we shot in was 150 years old. Yeah.
There was some weird, encryption on the wall. Someone there, like, was it a death note? I don't know.
It also felt like quarantine. We were quarantining in the hotel all together.
Yeah.
You guys were prepared.
We've been quarantining really since we made the movie.
Another nice thing is we had that 2 week, we had a 2-week rehearsal period, but we actually got to spend it. We rehearsed in places that we necessarily didn't shoot as well. So I don't know. I remember like we blocked a lot of things out and did things like that, which made it kind of feel very familiar. So, kind of helpful.
But you guys mentioned that you were kind of holed up in this hotel filming. When you think back on that experience of all that time you spent together, what sticks out to you most when you think about like your downtime on set? Charlie?
Yeah, really togetherness. I mean, you have no choice but to, hang out with the people to cook with. And it's a long period of time as well. I mean, we were there, I think it was like 3 months, all in all. And there is really nothing. I mean, sorry, Norwood, but there's not a lot to do in Norwood.
Not a lot to do there.
Yeah,
but I was entertained though, to be fair.
But yeah, I mean, just
had activities.
Yeah, to go tie in with the film, it really made us bond, as people, like, and learn about each other like these characters do. So kind of, it was like life was meeting art in the same moment, which was nice.
Yeah, and I mean the movie's very much like, Blu comes to this institution and sort of makes everybody through her powers open up. So I guess like that's sort of the same thing that happened when we made it and everybody became friends and all that.
What did you guys do? Like, what was your favorite downtime activity?
When we all got in the car when Charlie was driving the 5 of us, and
last time Charlie drove the car.
One time.
I had just learned to drive. I literally just got my license.
And he's British. You were driving along the side.
I'd never driven at night before. You do all your lessons in the day, and we were driving back. I decided to take everyone to the cinema and try out my driving. And I was driving at night, and I was like, Henry, man, the lights of the car aren't on. The lights are on. I was like, I can't see anything.
The storm started like just forming on top of us, like I don't know, like Anya's limbo or something. I'm like,
did I make up the fact that we went to see Baby Driver on the day
No,
that
we went to
drove
watch
us?
Yeah.
We went to watch a race movie, and then Charlie couldn't switch on the lights of his car. Okay.
Yeah.
You did great, babe.
I did.
You did great.
Very moral support, I feel like, from everyone.
Well, we have to take a moment to celebrate the romantic relationship we're getting between Blu and Maisie's characters. Can you guys tell us about your connection, not only as characters, but as actors? Like, tell me about your screen test. Tell me about your audition.
Yeah, we met at Blu's screen test. And, I don't know, maybe like 2 or 3 months before we shot the film. Yeah. And yeah, I've done a couple of screen tests before, but this was like the first time I had to like kiss a stranger in the screen test, and like that's always just like a
pre-COVID.
That's like a nerve-wracking experience, but hearing it from your point of view, Blu, sounds like it was kind of strange because
and it was also probably strange the way we did it. I mean, I had them lay down on the floor together just like as if they were looking up at the stars like they are in the movie, and did a 2-shot of them and everything. So we did sort of really act that scene out the way we did when we shot it.
Yeah, it was, I was nervous. Yeah.
Did you guys feel a little magic when you kissed?
I think I knew I got the part as soon as we kissed, I was like, that was real. That was real.
You're like, if they made me kiss Maisie, I know I got the part.
Yeah. No, it was definitely a really like I watched Maisie's show, I was like going to this audition all the way across
Maisie,
town, and I'm just like,
what show were you on?
it was like a really, I like couldn't believe that I was even there when it was happening, but it was like, it was fun. But, and then our whole relationship between our characters and then us as friends on set, like, was really amazing. Like, it really got me through making the movie, like our friendship and like that character relationship was really important to me. It was like probably my favorite part of Danny, honestly, is like her relationship with Rain.
Yeah, people ask me like, what are you most excited for people to see? And it's like, yes, all the cool visual effects and the big fights at the end and all that, but like just seeing these two girls under that dome looking up, I think is really cool to see people doing a movie. So I don't know, I'm excited for that stuff just as much as the action and the Marvel stuff and all that.
Yay! Love it. Okay, I want to get to some questions from the press. The first one comes from Silas Lesnick from Movie Bill, and this one's directed at Blue. Is there anything that you have continued to learn or come to realize about your character during this longer than usual period from production to release?
Yeah, I think that's actually really weird because I feel like I did realize a lot of things about Danny, about my character, like after filming. I definitely realized how close I was to her as just a person, which I think I kind of didn't really realize that while I was filming. And then when I left and I was able to look back at it and think about Danny, think about playing Danny, I like suddenly it all like came to me and I was like, oh my God, me and Danny are really the same person. Like, which is kind of weird because I think usually you feel like you get to play a character. So I think it was very strange for me to play someone that was so much like me. And that wasn't really something I realized until a lot of time passed. But it definitely, honestly, having like, what is it, 3 years? Yeah, 3 years passed since making the movie. I've definitely, grown, I think, as an actor, as a person. And if I would play Danny 3 years later again, I think it would be interesting because I feel like she would still be just like me and she would have come into her body for the first time. And like, I think she's a very uncomfortable teenager. And I was probably uncomfortable then, but now I'm not at all. And like, I think Danny wouldn't be either. Like, as she had like her new friends and her new relationship and, overcome a lot of things. So, yeah.
Would you want to play her again?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, of course, she was, the first real character I ever got to play. And I think like she's really close to my heart or something. Like, it would be really fun to play her again as an adult, like Danny is an adult now, not a teenager. Like, maybe her powers aren't all, negative and bad. Maybe she can make some dreams come true, not just nightmares. I don't know. So, yeah, it would be cool.
Does anyone else have any like realizations they had about their characters after the fact?
Yeah, I think like somewhat similar thing. I think at the time, we were all a lot younger, and it's only 3 years, but I feel like at this time in our lives, like you just do change a lot. And at the time, I was just like very uncomfortable, and like when I was playing Rain, and like I have on the wig and like the tatty clothes, and like it made me feel like, as an actor, like very uncomfortable, and it's like hard to do your job right when you feel like unattractive or like whatever it is, like you can't get your ego out of the way, And I think for me, like looking back now, it's like actually that was all perfect, like to feel that way and to feel uncomfortable in the clothes and that's who she is. Like she isn't just born with like every ounce of confidence. And so yeah, it was like something that I was really fighting at the time, but actually it like looking back, I'm like, wow, you're really like uncomfortable, but it works for the role, I guess.
Yeah. It was really interesting to see their work, because when you read the script or when you see the story, you can see how many teenagers I think are going to connect with each one of them in different ways. Maybe someone is going to connect more to Maisie's character, someone is going to connect more with Charlie's character or Anya's, because I think it taught with the movie, and Josh does that in a brilliant way, talks a lot about young people and going through their lives, being mutant or not. And the X-Men kind of have that metaphor of talking about being accepted, and teenagers, they go through that. There's a different moment, like we were saying, we shot this 3 years ago, and they changed a lot from that moment that we're shooting. And I think a lot of people that will watch the film either are going to remember them, how they were, or they're going to see themselves if they're around that age. And I think the movie is really cool because of that, because it talks on subjects in a great way that is entertaining and all that, but it really goes deep into these kids, young adults that are figuring out life and going through these feelings, and like Maisie just said, like understanding their body and their role in the world. So I think it's really nice to have an action film and entertaining film, but that deals with this kind of situations in a nice way.
Yeah, it definitely is more character driven and driven by performance than typical movies in this genre.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I relate to this discomfort that Maisie was talking about too. I think all of our characters have some sort of physical discomfort coming either from our powers or just from, growing pains. I was
That was
going
our
through
code name.
Growing pains.
Growing pains.
Yeah, but like we were talking before about like the love for these characters. I was feeling like, I have to live up to a role, and I should have used that fear, that insecurity for Roberto, because he is trying to live up to a facade, to a pretend confident 17-year-old who's actually just like craving love and is really sensitive. He just can't face that because it causes so much pain. So I think we can all relate to that discomfort.
Great question, Silas. Okay, we're going to move on to Jamie Philbrick from We Live Entertainment. And this question is for Josh. Can you talk about your love for Chris Claremont and Bill Sienkiewicz's Demon Bear storyline from the comics, and why that was the right story to adapt and bring these characters to the big screen with?
Well, I mean, briefly, I wrote this with my very best friend in the world. We've known each other since we were little babies. Our moms are best friends, and we grew up in the 1980s reading Marvel Comics. And I still vividly remember to this day seeing the covers of the New Mutants comics that Bill started working on, these Demon Bear ones, because they did not look like any comic book covers I'd ever seen before. They were painted, they were impressionistic, had a more slippery, surreal look than typical comic books do. I just never seen anything like that before. So they really captured my imagination, and I thought about them really for years. I remember being in LA when I first moved out in like an apartment, like 10 years before I ever made a movie. I had a stack of New Mutants comics, and I was like, maybe one day. And I was lucky enough to have made a movie for Fox that was successful, and went and begged them to let us take a crack at these comics we liked when we were young. So it all goes back to almost all these projects that I ever do go back to my childhood, or go back to things that I feel real passion and love for, because that's really all that can sustain you through how long it takes to make something, get it made, shoot it, write it, edit it. If it's just something that you love, I don't know, fleeting, I don't know that it can hold you for the length of time it takes to make it. So we try to pick things that we have deep, passionate feelings for, to hopefully connected to childhood, because those things will stay passionate about since then, be able to continue feeling that way now.
Charlie, I like how you've gotten progressively further away from the screen. No, it's cute. So this next one is from Josh Weiss at Sci-Fi, and I'll ask this one to Charlie. Did you reference specific issues or story arcs when you were preparing to play your character? And if so, which ones did you read?
I mean, yeah, just like Josh was talking about. I mean, this movie, came from the Sienkiewicz's Demon Bear franchise. So saga. So yeah. I mean, Henry had like all of them in his room. So we'd just kind of trade off.
Nerd.
I kind of was like, wait,
Really a geek, dude. That's it.
I was like 100 comics? He was like, yeah, I'm preparing. I was like, oh, okay. Oh, that's what you're doing. But no, yeah, I looked at them. You're trying to find as much information as you can about your character, and obviously you've got the script, which gives you a lot. But trying to find as much as you can. But it's also the comics, as much as they give you kind of the shape of these characters and who they are, they don't give you that kind of inner. I never found, when we were looking at the comics, that I kind of could get a full-fledged character. So it was, I would say it's exciting to read, but I really kind of was, for me at least, preparing, was definitely kind of looking more at pulling from the script itself than necessarily the comics. The comics helped with look and style. But yeah, we're making a different piece of, this is a film, so you need to make these kind of characters
real.
Out. Yeah, and real. Mm-hmm. And that was conversations that we'd had, me and Josh, and it was kind of, again, looking at the script and then just going with instinct. And, you're playing this character, so you've got to give a piece of you to this character, and kind of finding what piece of you want to give to it. Is kind of how I kind of came up with Sam, and also just this idea of power, and when you have something inside of you that is, manifested, and you're trying to, learn how to control it, but how that plays with your emotions. So yeah, there's a lot of things really. It wasn't just like one or the other.
Right. Well, Anya, similar question to you from Don K from Den of Geek. Did you delve into the comic book history of your character, or did you mostly work off what was in the script?
I dove in for fun. I have to say it gets a bit confusing as to how much time Liliana spends in limbo and how old she is. And which to be fair, I kind of like. It makes me, she's tough to understand. I love it. I dove in for fun. And then like Charlie said, you have to kind of go off the script, because even if in your head you're like, oh, I pulled this bit from a comic book, somebody that hasn't read the comic, when they go and see it, they're not going to understand it. So you have to sort of present all the information out that you have in the script and on the page. But that, and
we did a lot of you just made me think. I mean, we also used everybody's original backstories from the comics, but we really did go out of our way to ground those stories and make them directly related to where the character was emotionally when you're with them in the movie. So what she said, I think, is right. It's like the comic only goes so far. It was certainly incredibly helpful to us aesthetically, and in terms of choosing shots and making it look a certain way, and using Bill's designs and Bill's character designs, because these comics were cool because they didn't wear costumes in them for a lot of Bill's run, which we were inspired by that as well.
And, when you have Josh as your director, like, you just have a walking encyclopedia of anything you ever need to know. So, it's fun because you can read the comics at home and it's like homework, but you're actually just having a great time. And then if you're ever really stressed about something on set, you can just be like, Josh, what do you think of that? And he'll just break it down for
and
you.
And then I'll get stressed and I'll be like, oh, no.
we had the perfect director for the job, and he wasn't going to let us mess with characters that he's loved for such a long time. So.
Totally. Yeah, I'd say they're very much like the characters in the comics, but I'd say we had to make sense of a very convoluted Marvel history that a lot of these characters had, and their entanglements with other books and everything else. Lockheed would be a prime example of we made Lockheed much more tied to her directly in terms of her backstory and everything, because the way she gains this dragon in the comic is, this dragon came from space. Kitty Pryde got it. Eventually it really became Ileana's
comic. I have to say, I love Kitty. I think
Kitty. She's so cool. But for us it was just like, I don't know how to do the space backstory.
Well,
it's why we chose not to focus on a character like Magma, because it's like she comes from like an ancient Roman world that still exists in the Amazon somewhere now, and it was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Build it at the bottom of the field in the hospital.
Exactly. Yep, that's what would have happened.
Well, last one from Tina Pollock from Disney Digital. Since this movie appears to have a foreboding theme, what were some of the ways you guys lightened up the atmosphere on set beyond getting in the car with Charlie?
Wow. I mean, I just remember everybody laughing a lot the whole time we made this. These cats are all really funny and like gagging on each other. And once they really knew each other, they could poke each other in ways that were fun.
I just remember Maisie and Blu dancing.
All the time.
There's a lot of dancing, a lot of singing.
A lot of dancing.
Yeah. Be like actors.
And anytime Elise ran, we would.
What's the run, Elise?
I don't know why when we started doing.
Gotta go see the movie.
This was her homage to the T-1000 and T2. Robert Patrick's character. She runs very much like
exactly.
Robert Patrick does.
I thought it was more Happy Feet, but sure.
Just to make clear, when people watch the film, I do not run that way. Okay, that's not how I run in real life.
No. This was a character choice that she made.
He's a most athletic person I know.
I love it. Well, I want to thank you guys all so much for being here today. I'm sure everyone wants to know, August 28th is the current release date. Is this the one? Does this stick?
This is the release date. It is coming out. It'll be in every theater that's available to screen it. That'll be 80% of US theaters, and that'll continue to grow out over the however many weeks after it opens. It'll open internationally, and then eventually you can see it at home. So it is finally going to be available for people to actually talk about having seen it and not just writing about reshoots that we never did.
I was starting to think it was a myth. I'm not going to lie. I'm glad it's coming out.
It's a real movie, guys. It exists.
Yeah,
it's there.
It exists. It's real.
Well, congratulations to everyone. And thank you guys so much for everyone that tuned in to watch. That's going to wrap up the press conference for now. And thank you guys so much. Goodbye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.